بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. So alhamdulillah, it's pretty good. We said it's good to kind of assume the best about each student. Obviously, just a piece of advice, do the same thing when you're going to a new masjid, a masjid management. Chances are, if you find that you're getting conflict or they're not responding to you for over a period of weeks, there's probably a red flag. It's either that the person is really happy to see you, but management isn't happy, or worse, they're not happy to have you present teaching in their masjid. Could be because they already have classes. Sometimes it could be an ego issue. Sometimes it could be the fact that if you're offering a free service, you're actually undercutting the paid services being provided by a masjid. So bear in mind, assume the best in people, including the people that the parents are going to bring their kids or masjid management that you're working under. But if you're finding red flags are being crossed, or you're reminding people to maintain the adab or keep the environment clean and they're not responding, you need to get out. This is my personal advice for you. I've seen this, it's happened to me personally. Qari Future wasn't meant to be a program. I wasn't, wallahi al-azim, my intention wasn't to be here. There was posters out, and I remember laughing when all the brothers put my face on board, and I was just like going, oh, good luck teaching these 6 people. Like, who's this guy going to this thing? So subhanAllah, just bear that in mind. Assuming the best is good, but just like mashallah, the ayah says, فَلَمَّا أَحَسَّ عِيسَى مِنْهُمُ الْكُفْرَ قَالَ مَنْ أَنصَارِي إِلَى اللَّهِ. When Sayyidina Isa felt kufr or something wasn't right, he said, who are the disciples? Who are the Ansar? قَالَ حَوَارِيُّونَ نَحْنُ أَنصَارُ اللَّهِ. So you need to be, alert and fatten. So what do I personally use when I look for best talent? Yourselves included. I call it the Abasa principle. Give your attention to the most competent and eager people. They are the number one stakeholders in any program. This is the best form of fairness without showing favoritism, because it's about being fair. At best, the smart students will know that they may require to stop being lazy or work harder if they want to improve. The slack students will not only not care, but they'll even forget what you teach them. And, if you treat them differently, they'll forget about it. They even may be rude. I'm not going to try to get you to mention your guys' examples, because we're not going to reveal any personal information because of the delicate nature, but we've got this. So you can quote me on this. They pretended to work. This is a communist, classical saying, but I reworded it to our environment. They pretended to work, so we pretended to teach. Ibraheem el Matary. Sheikh Amr example. Sheikh Amr, mashallah, as I said, I've been with him for years. Mashallah, I've learned so much being under him when we used to be kids. He'd be like, somebody would turn up, student. Sorry, Sheikh, I forgot my homework. Sheikh, he'll start laughing and he'll start looking at all of us. Did you eat breakfast this morning? Yes. So you didn't forget breakfast? No. Why you didn't forget breakfast? Guy will go quiet. Sheikh will say, you have breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the past 7 days. Why can't you remember your homework? SubhanAllah, the amount of patience that he had, I swear to God, was beyond belief. So obviously, I'm going to try to skip. So go ahead, brother.
Uh, just a disclaimer, I think the story has nothing to do with the student in the picture, is it?
Got it?
I'm saying the story has nothing to do with the student in the picture. I mean, do
Oh,
not.
no. Yeah. Just letting you guys know, Jazakallah khair for letting me know. This is, mashallah, somebody who is an Ijaza graduate. I found a nice photo of Sheikh Amr. He turned up to his house, and mashallah, he's one of the best students that we had. But mashallah, imagine somebody at that level of offering ijazat. He still had the patience to deal with us kids, and he was trying to make an example, but not make a fool of somebody, if that makes sense. This is adab related teaching. I can give you heaps of examples. Sheikh Amr and Gangster Dog. This, Allah Azim, I'm not making this up. Like, this is gold. Somebody turned up to Sheikh, and I kid you not, he was like, oh, so I'm trying to think of an example. إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات إنا نضيع أجر من أحسن عملا. It's like, keep going for like 4 ayat. We thought he had a dry throat. Sheikh was looking at him and saying, are you eating bubblegum? He said, yes. This was a 15-year-old chewing bubblegum as he's reading Quran. classic gangster G's and whatnot. Obviously, he was shocked, but he didn't say anything. It was kind of like he made him stop, and that was it. Sheikh Ahmed's nutrition advisor. Oh, yes. People's diet affecting their sleep, catching you sleeping. Oh, yeah, he'll tell you about the best foods. Sheikh Ahmed ID, man. You probably had this, brother Yasser, in your class where somebody was making ikhtiras, cutting the mid short. And he's like, why are you giving me, it's like tax, 15%. It's like you're putting GST on my qira'ah. You give me full mids, tawassut. Obviously, the Three Musketeers. Allah al-Azim, there's so many examples I can't remember. I probably forgot this example. Sheikh Amr and the three guys. But the question is, yes, if they still don't get it, then you have to kind of take things up a little bit. Remember that whatever you're doing, you're both being tested. Yes, you might get angry, but obviously you don't want to put off the person from learning Quran. You want to bring him back. You're being tested on what you're going to say. They're being tested on the level of respect they give to Quran. Their test is probably bigger if they're failing it, but don't take the bait, if that makes sense. And that is the best adab I learned from Sheikh Ahmed. He did not take the bait from the students, regardless of how crazy the situation was. Class size, yes, remember, point number 9. Class size is not indicative of success. Wallah al-Azim, I showed you Sheikh Ahmed's face when he gave the jazz to that person. For 20 years, he used to have, by the end of the time that he was staying in New Zealand, Wellington, he had 3 people in his class. Wouldn't get ijazat for 20 or so years from people. That was what he was trying to do. SubhanAllah, now he's with the Taga Quran Club and he's graduating so many per year. I need you to remember this. The size of your class is not indicative of success. Last year's Ijaza preparation, I had no more than 4 students. I'm not going to mention names, but you guys know who you are. That was basically it for the men's side. كم طيرت طقطقة النعال من رقاب الرجال? How many times have the clatter of sandals displaced men for their positions? And yeah, like I said, it took Sheikh Ahmed maybe 20 or so years to get his first Ijaza. Now he's pumping him out, mashallah, on a regular basis. Which reminds me of this. Now I'm going to ask you guys a question. Could this be us? Could this be a new future model? You've got admin taking in enrollments. Your job as a teacher is to kind of educate and sift the gold and graduate people. Some students will need to be reworked. It could be maybe a re-enrolling mechanism over here. Sometimes they might have been completely rude and they have to be pulled out. And the question is, what I'm trying to demonstrate with this photo is you're critical. You as a teacher have to be on the production line. You can't be on the production line and on the floor effectively at the same time. If you jump over here, then this is going to go through. You're not going to give the time to the class. If you're only here, then somebody has to take the slack over here. Re-enrollment, maybe it makes sense. We need an extra person. But this is the relationship that we need. Maybe admin could take care of the students needing enrollment. What's the situation? Did they pull out because of personal circumstances? Because we've had sisters that were pregnant, sisters that had family emergencies. Some of them have excuses. Others have just pulled out and they're going to re-enroll. Some of them, they had to re-enroll because of disciplinary measures. But this is the role of being together as a community and having admin. And this is the admin. I'm trying to graphically represent this teacher, but could you say as teachers, this is the best way that represents us graphically? Like, is there anything you'd like to add to this? Because I'm going to have to take this information to management. So at least we can, tell them this is how the relationship should work. But what I'm trying to say is if you're on your own and you're not uniting, chances are you're doing the teaching, you're doing the admin, you're doing the disciplinary work, and you're trying to bring back the other guys. And if you don't have any structure, you're going to get tired. You're going to be running around just like how you're not seeing this, but I'm running around sometimes doing this, and it was making me tired. And that's why you get put off, putting the program. So the question I was going to ask, is this like a fair representation of how admin should interact with us? What would you like to see admin do? What would you like to see teachers do, and vice versa? I'm just asking everyone right now. So before we move on, everybody's all right with this? You can even send a text message, say it's okay.
So this in this graphic, the admin is enrolling.
Yeah, so they'll do the marketing, the emailing every single masjid, putting it on WhatsApp, and then the gold comes here. And this is the model that we got currently. My job as a teacher, I'd like to I don't want to be doing admin and this at the same time, but our job is to kind of refine the gold and sift through it and then get the best ones out for graduation.
Oh, I see now. Hmm.
But
So
I'm
on
just to show
who's
the
on the
relationship.
floor?
Yeah,
Who's
go
on the
ahead.
floor then for the
Oh, you're saying, bro?
so like the on the right side of the screen, bottom right, who will be there then?
Oh, you mean, oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So students here that have been taken out, sometimes they need maybe additional classes. Sometimes they have to pull out. Sometimes it's a disciplinary matter, but they can't attend class. So we need to find out why it is. Are they going to re-enroll next year, like some are doing, or is it a disciplinary issue, or is it a personal grievance? But the question that comes up is it this guy's responsibility to pick these up, or is this guy's responsibility to pick it up? Because at the end of the day, they're still pieces of gold. We just need to figure out where they're supposed to go. But what I'm trying to show in this photo is you can't be here and here at the same time.
Yeah.
Is that fair enough?
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Because if you're here, then you miss out on this one. And if you're here all the time, you can have a bit of tunnel vision. You're just looking here, you don't know what's happening here, you don't know what's happening here, you don't know what's happening there. So, what I'm trying to say is we need to streamline this thing to make it more efficient. Alhamdulillah, everything's in place, but we're going to try to improve on that, inshallah. Does that answer your question?
uh, let me just put it back, see if I understand it correctly. So you're saying that so for us teachers,
Yeah.
we are focusing on the production line.
Yes.
So in the ideal situation, we don't have to be all over the place.
Well, that's what we're trying to figure out. Like, could it be, and that's what Dr. Wathani is saying. You got, mashallah, brother Asar on the website team and the marketing over here. You got the teachers here. Maybe, and because I think maybe that's why we need, just like how in a production line in a factory, you need a supervisor. Do I need to step back a bit and offer a supervisor role to the teachers, by which I'm helping admin do this and I'm helping admin do this as well, and maybe a little bit of teaching. If you, for example, let's just say you get too many things coming at once, you might need two people on the line, not just one.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe I need to go back to admin and say, hang on, we're getting way too much. The ratio is supposed to be 7 or 6, like we said. Put a fee on to limit the number of people so we get a consistent flow, like that one. You see what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yes, yes.
So would it be fair enough? And I'm asking you guys, I'm not forcing you into this because Allah Azim, I'm not going to be around for a long time or forever. You're going to find out why in a second. But is this a fair representation model of how we should operate moving forward? Sorry, I'm just going to ask the question one more time because I'll have to kind of confirm with Brother Asar.
No, I definitely agree with it. And though one um, thing that comes into my mind is that when the circle is small, like in business terminology, when it's a small business, or in terms of society, the society is small, or the corporation or the trust
Yeah.
is small,
Yeah.
there are few people only working in it, and they are not dividing the role because they are just all over the place because there are not many people to divide. But once the circle grows bigger, then it's more easier and efficient if they are specifically people working in different, as you said, the different belts region basically. And from what
Mhm.
we have seen from experience, that since the number of students have increased, there are more number of teachers are there, and you don't want to do the same exercise all over again for each person, burning out everyone. It will
Yeah.
be more helpful to have more specialized people who are just dealing with one specific problem, and they have already made that process more efficient. So
Yes.
in that regards, what I've noted is that, for instance, even for myself, I can't do, for instance, administration of 5 programs at the same time, right?
Exactly. Yeah. That's
So
another
what
thing.
what I did was that I started to hand out the administration to different people. And I was doing for one or two things. I asked Brother Muhammad to do the other one. I asked Brother Musa to do admin his own thing, for instance. So this way, I dedicated my task, and this delegation was a new thing for me to learn because sometimes you want to do everything because you feel very bad asking others to do things for you. So
Mm.
I had to learn, and I think that's where we all would need to learn of how to delegate to whom, especially, right? And that's where probably I need to also, and we all need to learn is how to include more people into the inner circle. For instance, now I see new brothers coming to Dunedin, and they have instantly joined Otago Quran Study Club in Dunedin Halakas, right? They are very enthusiastic. They are new learners, so they don't have much teaching roles or administrative roles. So I can ask them, brother, can you help us with dealing with some of the emails, for instance? So this way, I can include more brothers to streamline my work and distribute my work further. Similarly, at your end, for instance, from the sister side, because I don't have much links to the sister side, you guys must know who are more enthusiastic sisters around you among the students as well, maybe, or other sisters that seem interested in the work but don't have the capacity to be a student or a teacher, and see if they would like to help you. You can ask them, like, people who you can trust and they can trust you as well. You know them, that can you help us with this thing, for instance, dealing with new students, something like that. Or so
Mm.
this way, I think we can all start to increase the circles, be more efficient, and more like a leadership, basically, where you start increasing people and delegating stuff, kind of thing. So tell me if this sounds better.
Mashallah, to be honest, it's good that you actually mentioned this because now I can see it from your perspective because you're, mashallah, running 5 programs. So the question that comes up now, looking at this photo over here, it changes everything. Could it be that we've got 5 different production lines running, and now you need somebody like me, for example, that's cross-functional, like a supervisor, to go around the 5 different production lines to see how they're running? Because when you think about it, the sisters, mashallah, are nearly close to being fully independent and running their own show. So it's good to kind of get that regular feedback. We've got different factories running different, mashallah, types of gold. You guys, mashallah, bring in the work for us effectively, and we bring out the best in people. And we can effectively delegate that way. That way, people don't get burnt out. Does that sound pretty good?
Exactly. I think even within the admin, there are people, HR people, and then there's a payroll people, and there, there are different kind of things people are doing. And within those payrolls, there are other administrators as well. So I think that's the kind of specialization. Depending on the need, we can evolve eventually. So everyone knows their own challenges. So now we need to learn how to solve those challenges without compromising our own, mental health and the efficiency.
No, you're right. Jazakallah khair. This is beautifully said, and I really appreciate input, mashallah, and expertise on this one. How do you guys think about this? Like, would that be a fair graphical representation? We've got, mashallah, different factories now. In the space of 6 months, mashallah, even less, we've got different factories running different programs side by side with different products and different graduates. The next step up would be to kind of formalize everything, have it more structured and maybe strict in certain areas, and have us talking to each other. That's what I'm actually doing. Like, we have people that, in my humble opinion, aren't competent to be in Power Future, but I'm able to enroll them because I can go, okay, you're in Auckland, go and see Brother Yasser's Halaqa outside of OQSC. Or if you're in Dunedin, I'll go and see Sister Wa'ad and, you've got Al Khansa and Sister Halima there. So they can actually work as in a support role. And mashallah, it's like we're relying on each other as opposed to repeating the same thing and getting burnt out. Do you guys see where I'm coming from? Does that make sense for us as a model to move forward? Because effectively, right now, mashallah, we've got teachers in each major city. Alhamdulillah, by name of Allah. But can you see how this is working? Do you have any more feedback on this, guys? Yes, mashallah, yeah, automation, definitely. So obviously, you're automating the process. Mashallah, Brother Asar has been really good with the team, recording videos, putting them up there. I don't have to actually keep repeating the same thing. It's something that we're trying to do. So inshallah, this is going to be us moving forward, inshallah. I'm quickly going to try to go through these slides, inshallah. Okay. So now we've got the 80-20 rule. You get 80% of the effort by putting in 80% of the work by doing 20% of the effort. So this is something, if you effectively do the 80-20 principle and you do it with abasa, which means you focus on the people that matter, you'll get basically most of the work done. And that's in line with what you said, Brother Asar, about delegation. Here is a practical example. This is Auckland University, supposedly the biggest university that we have. Has been running for quite a long time, 3,600 followers. This is Massey University, 3,200. What makes, I'll ask you guys on the chat, what makes Massey different from other universities? You guys can guess. Like, why is there more engagement in a place in the middle of nowhere, proportionally, to something like Auckland MSA? And I've seen both, mashallah. I have friends still, and whatnot. What could be something that they're doing differently? Anybody would like to add any opinion? Sorry. Oh, I need to go down. Sorry. Anybody would like to take a guess?
Do they have a well-established musalla?
Well, you're actually going to laugh. Let me just remember. Well, they have a musalla on site, but the maximum number of people that can fit in on the men's side is about 50 to 60. So it's quite a small space. Well, that could be one thing, yeah? Anybody would like to add another idea?
I think they have some halaqat. I got a friend a long time. She mentioned that they used to have halaqat in Massey University because she was in Massey University. Maybe that's the thing.
What halaqat were they, if you don't mind me asking? I'm interested to find out.
It was a long time ago in 2019. I believe she mentioned about tahfiz or a Quran recitation or about Quran halaqat, but I'm not entirely sure which kind of halaqat. But she just said that they used to have Quran halaqat in Massey University, Musalla or Massey University somewhere.
Well, I'm pretty amazed, to be honest. No, Jazakallah khair. That's actually pretty interesting. So that means there's engagement. That's another thing. They have regular activities happening. Anybody else would like to guess what actually happened? How is Massey, a town of 70,000 people, Wallah Azim, the farm is 10 minutes away from the campus. I kid you not. How is that competing with engagement of Muslims in Auckland? Okay. I'll give you an idea. All we did, and by the hand of Allah, when we started with this initiative years ago, is we listened to people. That's it. Mashallah, you'll be surprised. The sisters' wing is on fire. I do mean this by all meaning of the word. There has been Quran halaqat. We had tajweed on Ramadan. They had so much money they could do iftar, not just 5 days a week, and people cooking iftar, mashallah. But they actually said, because it's not about money. There is no point making iftar on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Let's make it a family time. We've got a surplus of money. Let's focus on these 4 days. So they're doing iftar regularly in the masjid. They got tarawih. We had Arabic classes at one point. We were teaching Arabic, mashallah, in the space of 1 year. We had 5 sisters from the Pakistani and the Southeast Asian community come on board. Mashallah, within 1 year, they're able to jump from reading Arabic to actually understanding what the Imam was saying after tarawih. That is engagement. And we did this by listening to their complaints and acting on them. And mashallah, they put in the effort. After the 3rd year of that initiative, I was working just as a freelance consultant for them. The sisters managed to raise more money than the brothers. You can imagine that for Ramadan. About 2/3 worth, until the brothers got embarrassed and they started competing against one another. Well, mashallah, it shows that they're empowered and they're giving up for something that is worthy of sacrifice. And mashallah, the fact that I'm really happy that you said this, Sister Halima. The fact that there's Quran classes 2019 afterwards, that shows that mashallah, it's a sign of healthy growth. but it's about listening and acting on it. That's how I personally see it. I personally got involved in the committee and I got involved in the sisters, not because I have any interest to deal with them, to be honest, but we had serious problems. Don't get me wrong. Every place will have their problems. The sisters were so pissed off with the brothers, they didn't even want to talk with them because they couldn't get curtains to cover them while they were doing sujood. They were exposed, basically. So we had to actually, exercise that. So we can't achieve that. What I'm trying to say to you guys, we can't achieve this without your help. Because Brother Asrar said, we don't know what's happening on the sisters' side. My job is to relay that information. But if there is a problem, it is also the responsibility of the sisters to mention it. Because if we don't know what's happening, chances are we're going to go back to the same situation. And people are not going to communicate and they're going to look like they don't care. So, and mashallah, the thing they did is they trained future talent. That was what empowerment was about. You train future leaders. Future leaders will step back after the committee is done, and then they'll give liaison and guidance to current leaders. Did you do the right thing? Could this be done better? And mashallah, they kept growing as an organization. As the ayah says, وَتَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى وَلَا تَعَاوَنُوا عَلى الْإِثْمِ وَالْعُدْوَانِ. And subhanAllah, Imam Shatibi embodied this. He said, وَنَادَيْتُ اللَّهُمَّ يَا خَيْرَ سَامِعٍ أَعِذْنِي مِنَ التَّسْمِيعِ قَوْلًا وَمِفْعَلًا. He's basically saying, oh Allah, do not make me somebody that actually is here for the sake of showing off. And subhanAllah, to this day, people practice Shatibiyyah. So we need to start listening to the sisters. 70% of the work actually comes from the sisters. For the sisters, I'd like to ask you, you guys play a big role in this. We'd like to get more of your involvement, inshallah, even with the committee. The biggest problem I get sometimes when it comes to complaints, credibility of the teacher. If you're worried, get educated and study on tajweed so another sister doesn't come and challenge your leadership or ask you awkward questions. The second thing is, I'm going to be honest with you. Even if I sat down and talked 20 minutes with each sister, I can't help this. There can be sometimes slander thrown around, and it really puts off sisters from being involved. I'm speaking with some reverts right now. They're actually afraid to come to the masjid because of the backstabbing that happens. And that has actually put people off the masjid. Don't get me wrong. This thing here nearly had the same problem. We had somebody come in Islam Awareness Week in the middle of the Masjid Open Day, nearly tried to make a scene because some sisters, unfortunately, didn't keep things in check. I'm not saying this doesn't happen to the brothers as well, but just do it in order of priority. If you have any problems teaching, study up or ask for help. And this is what I do not like personally. Do not start a Quran halaqah when you don't have any certification, you're not qualified. Isolate yourself. Try to come to us to give you credibility. And then when we ask you for feedback or help, you're saying, well, I'm too embarrassed to speak to the men. I was like, well, let's be honest. At the end of the day, you're going to isolate yourself and deal with these problems. And I'm being brutally honest. We are here to help you work together, to get through these issues. I don't want you to break off and start making your own thing. And as soon as you get a challenge, you say, I'm not going to teach anymore, as it happened with some sisters. And I'm not sure if you've seen the Sister Wad, you can correct me, but some things that happen in masajid put people off volunteering in the future. So obviously, credibility is not an issue. If you're studying, sometimes you get somebody like me or another teacher saying, okay, go and teach on my behalf, if that makes sense. And, but at the same time, if you feel there is an issue, it's better to be part of an organization than be on your own. Unless you have a qira'ah or ijaza for qira'ah and iqra'. You can do whatever you want. But unless you have that, well, you're up for criticism. You see what I mean? But slander is something I will not tolerate, especially when it comes against teachers. So that is why I can't get sisters involved. Sister Wa'ad, do you know where I'm coming from with this? This is why I can't get more sisters involved. Does that answer your question? Honestly, I'm not sure if she's here, but...
Sorry, brother.
So basically, you're telling me that sometimes there could be a lack of volunteers. And that's a big issue that we have, especially.
Yes. Yeah. That's what the issue, that we have volunteers, but there is lots of people want to be volunteers in the masjid, but unfortunately they don't have enough experience for that. So
SubhanAllah.
yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah, and
inshallah, I can
yeah,
see where this comes from, the credibility, right? They need to have the experience in order to teach people.
yes, that's what. So that's what I believe, that if there is like courses or sessions can be prepare these people to be volunteer in the masjid, and can be good teachers for the student in the future.
That's a good point. Like, I'll probably ask Brother Asra, is there anything happening for the Sunday school in the masjid that actually does that? Because I know your challenge is you don't have an imam guiding these people. So it just becomes a free-for-all.
Sorry, I'm not sure what the original question is, but I'm not
Okay.
actually involved with the Sunday schools. Sister Halima is there, but what's the question again? Sorry.
Okay, so basically, there are people that want to volunteer, but in order to get them credibility, they need to be certified and trained. So the big question that comes up now is that you guys need to discuss this as a committee as well. If you don't have an imam that's educating people, and there isn't somebody else to offer this course, the question is, who is taking care of the need in that case? I'm asking this now as a person that's studying Sharia as well, not just
Yes,
as Muqra.
a very good question, because the thing is that the first thing is awareness, right? If you talk to the current imam and you ask him that what are the committee's plan on getting a qualified imam for the masjid, a scholar, or sending somebody from the masjid to become a scholar, and the
Yes.
response you get is that we don't trust sheikhs anymore. And what's the point of getting somebody from abroad when you can learn those things from YouTube? So that's the thing I got after the Juma prayer, and I asked the Imam directly. So there was a kind of hatred towards the scholars that emerged in the Nadian Mosque because of the previous sheikhs conflicts they had.
Okay.
And yeah, this becomes a widespread thing if you look at other masajid and their fights with their imams.
Mm.
So it becomes a epidemic kind of thing here. But yeah, now because of the work that you guys have done, and you know how Brother Rizwan, who's the ex president of the OMA over here,
Mm.
has joined the bridging course now, and
Yeah.
he was the principal of the Sunday school. So he now understands why he also had to go through the bridging course to upgrade himself, because he, along with his team of unfortunately unqualified people, were teaching our 50 kids, or less from the male side, how to recite the Quran. So this is the kind of challenge we had, but I hope you guys have opened some or complete of the heart of Brother Brizwan to make those changes. But I think this is kind of conversation that eventually should be our next agenda in for this year, to have these conversations with our local masajid. What are they doing, and would they allow the OQSC to help them achieve those goals, inshallah?
That's actually a good point. So going back to what you said, Sister Wad, what are the chances? I'm telling you now with my experience right now, having traveled physically around New Zealand. So based on your experience, how many people do you have that, in terms of ratio, that are underqualified, and how many actually want to do a course? Do you have any data?
Um, I'm not sure exactly about the number of the people, but might be maybe three or four. Uh, they working with us, but I think need uh, more like they need to more experience for that, or not more experience, more qualified to be teacher in the future.
Okay, not a problem. Putting an offer out there. This is coming directly from Sheikh Muhammad Yahya in Egypt, and Sheikh Muhammad Salim, who I'm going to see soon. Anybody that has a qira'ah issue, and this is coming from Sheikh Amr as well. I've got it on the slideshow. Allah's my witness. If anybody wants to come and learn, we either on this platform or me personally, they're more than welcome to. We haven't secluded knowledge from anybody. And that is something that we need to, as teachers, we need to be generous to people. Just like how, mashallah, as I said, Jazallahu bil khayrati anna a'immatan lana naqlu Quran adba wa salsala. But the honest question I'm asking you now, Sister Wa'ad, and you answer me this. If you've had an Imam kicked out previously, and Sheikh Amr has been kicked out in Wellington, and there's another Imam that I know that was kicked out before Jamal Foda came, when I was a Fian's representative in 2013. What are the chances now of me, Ibraheem el Matary, who's studying at the International Open University, of being kicked out? You get what I mean?
I'm not sure exactly. So, but to be honest, I'm not involved of all of the masjid principle.
Yeah.
So
Sorry, I'm not trying to put you under the spotlight. The reason why I'm saying this is it's relevant to the other teachers as well. So what's
I'm
happening?
sorry, I didn't understand your question exactly. Sorry.
Well, what I'm trying to say is that there's been a trend, as Brother Asar said, of imams being kicked out of masajid. So it's not the need an issue. What I'm trying to say is, I've had my credibility attacked for running this program. I had a complaint put forward to Sheikh Amr, and Sheikh Amr ignored that person. Yeah, I'm talking about myself right now. You might be hearing this for the first time, but I got attacked. Just as a general question, I'm going to ask everybody in this group. Out of all the teachers I have, with the exception of Brother Yasser, because you guys had an imam recently, how many masajid have an imam that you are attached with? I'm looking at all the teachers.
Just clarification, you mean imam as a qualified imam, you mean, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Not somebody that calls himself sheikh or just leads salah like 4-degree minimum. Or a person that has a ijazah. Does anybody, with the exception of Brother Yasser, have somebody that like that in this group that we know of?
In Christchurch, An-Nur is supposed to has two imams, the imam and the assistant imam.
Oh, okay. That's the first time I hear that in New Zealand. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can't say much about the main imam. But I think he graduated from Azhar, I think something like that, or Saudi. But the assistant imam from Malaysia, he's I think has a degree as well, and still get support from Malaysia in terms of consulting stuff like that.
Okay. So, but obviously you're saying, I mean, from what you told me earlier, it doesn't look like you've got that many programs happening.
Yeah, like there's how would you say, not from the center, but from the grassroots, like people running their program. So they're like different people running different classes. The assistant imam is trying to get them together and he wants a unified curriculum, but he has a hard time getting people on board.
So you're saying people aren't interested?
Not interested in the formalization process, I guess.
Okay. So I can see now there's two perspectives. Obviously, there's people that aren't interested in joining a service, even if it's run by an imam. And there's people that might not even be interested in bringing imam because they don't see a benefit. But with all due respect to everybody here in this group, the head of this program is Sheikh Amr. He's a ijazah holder and a qualified imam. So he has 80s studying in an Islamic institution. I'm studying Sharia, but I'm doing ijazat on the side. What I'm trying to say at the end of the day is your organization, whether it's free or paid, will not succeed if you don't have that motivation. You get where I'm coming from, Sister Wad?
Yes, brother.
Yeah, so I think part of the issue I'm going to go really fast on the slides because I know I've gone over time.
Yeah, thank you.
It becomes an ayah, basically. as says in Surah At-Tawbah, وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ عَاهَدَ اللَّهَ لَإِنْ آتَانَ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ لَنَصَّدَّقَنَّ وَلَنَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الصَّالِحِينَ. People say, if I only had money, if I only had this. Remember, if you need any of that support, our programs are free for people to join and get accredited. But chances are, if you're not going to pay for an imam, I've got my own family to deal with as well. So maybe we do need professional services. Brother Asar is going to look at this. But if you're going to keep asking for free services and extend people are not going to be interested. At the same time, I'm not saying imams are going to fix everything. Sheikh Amr had to leave Wellington because no one was interested. They're trying to do the same thing at Christchurch. If we bring an imam, I'm telling you this, Sister Wad, I'm more than happy to discuss this, and I've already discussed options with you and Sister Halima. You were there as well. You guys already have everything that needs to be done. Go out there and do it. If you can't do it, then it might be the fact that people aren't interested. You see what I mean?
Sorry, brother, I have a question.
Yeah,
So, do you mean the imam will be able to teach some sisters or some volunteer to become teachers? Because I think Sister Wad was trying to she's trying to find like some courses for those people who are interested in teaching. They are not they are not qualified, but they are very much interested because we are struggling to find volunteers, and the people who are like already happy to volunteer, they are not very much qualified.
Okay,
And
so I'm going to ask you a direct question. Would you put your child with that person?
sorry,
I'm going to ask you a direct question. Would you put your child with that person?
Ustad Ibraheem,
Yes.
I think there's something missing in this. When we're talking about the Sunday school in the masjid here in Dunedin, it's not
Oh,
the goal of the Sunday school is not to teach Quran only, or at some
yes. I
or some
understand
level.
that.
it's
Yeah,
not
so I think it's not tahfid. So I think
I
when we're
know
talking
it's
about
not tahfiz because they're not even up to that level yet, but I understand where you're coming from. Yeah, continue.
yeah, so like the people who are volunteering for the school, I think they are some of them are qualified, like some of the sisters already teach in some schools and so on. So
Okay.
they are qualified to teach, for example, Arabic or some of the fiqh
Oh, yeah.
lessons. But the thing that we are talking about, I think in this one is teaching Quran. So I think it depends on what the goal of the school is. So if the goal of the school is teaching Quran, then yes, we need an imam who will teach Quran, because I think in the sister side and in the men's side, the goals are different, because the men keep talking, or I feel that the brothers are talking about Quran lessons and teaching Quran and tahfidh, while in the women's side, we more of teach Arabic and fiqh lessons and so on. So I think there is misunderstanding or misorganization on the goals of the school in general. So unless they decide what are the goals of the Sunday school, talking about teaching the volunteer that doesn't make any sense, because what do you want? Do you want to teach them to be qualified for doing what? Quran lessons or Arabic lessons or fiqh lessons? Because I think they are qualified to do the fiqh lessons and the Arabic lessons. So I think it's just organization issue. It's not. I don't think it's about what you are talking about in this.
Okay, I'll give you a fiqh answer. It's a pretty short one because I know I went over time. Do you have any person that has an ijaza or qualified to lead salah in your city or even Otago? Straight up question. I'm talking fiqh now. This is my qualification. Do you have somebody, or can you get someone?
No, I think this is another issue, that the masjid here doesn't have an imam to lead the prayer.
Okay,
But
so you're missing two things. You're missing an imam, and you're missing somebody who has an ijaza.
yeah, so if the goal is to have someone, which is, I think it's important, I'm not saying it's not, but if the goal is to have a school that will create someone who is who will be mujiz in future, then the goal, like the whole organization or the whole goal of the school should be changed, because I don't think this is the goal of the current school.
Okay, I'm going to ask a straight up question. As a
Yeah.
muqri, I've been sent here by Sheikh Ahmed. You guys know I live in your locality. I have a house an hour's drive away. This is my job. You guys get what I mean? So what I'm trying to say at the end of it, as somebody in this field, we can have a separate discussion breakout. I'm going to send everybody a separate message to kind of maybe have a follow-up session to kind of with regards to this. But if you need an imam, I can get you an imam. If we need muqri'een, this is what Otago Quran Club is doing. As you can see, we've already discussed this in the slideshow. I can open up a school with full teachers in the space of 8 hours. So the question is, as mashallah said, Sister Khansa said, is are you guys willing to have a meeting later to discuss this? I've got Sister Halima, Sister Wa'ad, Brother Asra, and Khansa.
So we have, I have talked with Brother Rizwan, and he is very much happy and open to any suggestion, and he's very flexible. And he is trying to put us to put up a meeting for teachers. I think end of next week, or I don't know when. But I talked to him on Friday, and he was pretty much open and flexible for everything. So we're gonna talk to him and have a meeting. And if you are willing, you are most welcome to join that meeting. I will inform him, and we can.
Yeah, Jazakallah khair. Give me the details. Sorry for getting sidetracked, but as you can see, this is where the credibility and slander comes in. If you do not have an imam or a leader looking after the organization and underqualified people, you're going to have rooms. So we need to have that structure in place. Sorry, I have gone over time, but I'll definitely meet up to discuss it with you guys later. If you can give me the details, that'd be great. But you can see this is where the problem is coming in. Feedback from sisters. I'm going to skip this part. But clearly, tips. Don't push your students. Get them to where they're comfortable. Halaqah is to improve reading, not to repeat mistakes. If you are doing a Quran halaqah, this is, again, mentioned to you guys. I mentioned this thing. If you're getting people that are turning up and repeating mistakes on a weekly basis, I have to ask you now on behalf of Sheikh Amr and myself, what are you doing in your school? Is this an academic institution where you're training people to read? Are they becoming future leaders? Are these people becoming imams? I honestly ask myself this question after 5 or 10 years of teaching. Any of these guys in the masjid? Are you actually teaching people and you're inspiring them and coming back and saying thank you? Or is it just a babysitting session? That is the main aim of the organization. Don't hold all the glory to yourself. If you're going to bring people that aren't qualified, that want to turn up, everybody is amili sheikh milli, as we say in Arabic. Everybody's become a sheikh of their own tariqah. You have to be trustworthy. Qumbul, subhanallah, our imam, stopped teaching people 7 years before he passed away because he was worried that his memory is going to fail him. This is the level of amana he had. One problem that I see in the community is there's too many volunteers. Everyone wants to help. And when it gets too hot, they drop the ball on you. If you do not have qualified people, I'll be honest with you, brothers and sisters, I studied myself to look after my kids. If we're going to start, I'm being brutally honest from what the brother Asar said, if we're going to hate on the ulama and hate on other people, you're going to get the situation that happened in Wellington where somebody actually accused my personality and gave me threats and went to complain to Sheikh Amr. This is how the level of ignorance you get for not paying respect to people of knowledge. You know, I didn't do this to become like Sheikh Amr because Sheikh Amr got kicked out on it. You know, but anyways, it's not what I'm trying to say, and Brother Asar can back me up on this one. It's not the job of OQSC to teach discipline to the whole city. If the city doesn't care and there is no interest, and there is even an imam like Brother Haris had in Masjid al-Nur, is a big masjid, it's not a small masjid. If they're not interested, then that's it. وَمَا أَنْتَ عَلَيْهِمْ بِجَبَّارٍ. But again, we'll have a meeting to discuss it later. This is the main role of a murabbi. As we said, tarbiyah, I can offer you tarbiyah, but remember guys, I'm just a guy from Sydney. Wallahi al-azim, if somebody came up to me and Mashaykh said this, man or woman, we have to teach them the Quran. But if they're not interested, I'm talking specifically to Dunedin here. I'm being brutally honest. I had sisters teach us in the faculty of hadith. They were fully confident, mashallah, and they got selected by the Mashaykh for their level of excellence. And we taught in an Islamic environment. But like I said, part of the problem is us not opening up. Alhamdulillah, jazakallah khair. I really respect that you told me about this problem. We need to sit down and have a further meeting later on. But unless you complain, we're not going to know about it. And alhamdulillah, I'm happy that we did that in OQSC. Tarbiyah is an ongoing thing. It's not going to happen in Sunday class, and I promise you, it's not going to happen even just at the home. It has to be ongoing. And mashallah, brother Asrar, I'll talk to you later, but you actually provide a really good example. If they can have people that teach them this on a regular basis, and I'll give you an example, it's going to help. Tips. Here's examples of what tarbiyah means. Sheikh Arkasha Kamini over in Texas. For 4 hours a day, I was an extension of the Sheikh's family for 8 years. I left him when he went to bed. Sheikh Ayun Sood in Syria, subhanAllah, said to his Sheikh, subhanAllah, he said, all my time is yours. He said, all my time is yours to a student. He just said, Suri, in Arabic, he said, give me 6 hours of sleep. That's the level of generosity he had. Again, Sheikh Muhammad Salim, Sheikh Muhammad Yahya, you have to make them read. It is your responsibility. They said, if you are going to Baklutha, Wara South, you have to train people. After you train people, this is your responsibility. Sheikh Amr even said this to myself. He said it to me. Why are you living there? I was choosing to live in a farm. Your job, how will you help the community? Like, subhanAllah, Sheikh Amr was worried about Dinini to the point that he was telling me, why are you buying a house in the middle of nowhere? This is the level of care that this Sheikh has. That is why Sister Halima, Sister Wa'ad, Sister Khansa, Brother Azwan, Brother Asrar, I came knocking on your guys' door. Wallahi al-Azim, if it wasn't for the level of care our teachers have showed us, and the wasiyah that I received from Egypt and New Zealand to come and knock on your guys' door, like I did a few years ago, there was no reason for doing it. I'm a guy in Sydney right now. SubhanAllah, the best example I have of this is Sheikh Ibraheem Sawan. Wallah, abna nuskuru bkhair. Always picks up the phone, even in a war zone. SubhanAllah. They made us feel like family. I'm not trying to cross my boundaries here with the female-male interaction. But what I'm trying to demonstrate here is that all I can do is knock the door, and subhanAllah, Brother Asar open the door, and I got enrolled in the OQSC. But can you sisters see where I'm coming from with this? Like, is there anything else I could offer you? I could offer you classes. Alhamdulillah, we've got classes. You can talk to Brother Asar. He's got a variety of streams. But are we, and tell me honestly right now as a program coordinator, are we making you miss out on any opportunities? You know, I'm just trying to get some honest advice from the sisters before we wrap up. All good? Here's a practical case study. MashaAllah, I don't know what's happening with this sheikh at the moment. Brother Yasser, have you met this guy before? I'm just trying to see who's ever seen this sheikh.
I'm not entirely sure, brother.
So this was a guy, mashallah, Jazallah khair. He left on his own in the 1980s to study Quran. He studied all the Qur'at, mashallah. He came to Palestine and started our schools. Alhamdulillah, I had the pleasure of being under him. Not directly, but through his students. They managed to have the biggest successful program when it came to tahfiz. I'm going to show you why later on. But what he said is that when he came to teach, is that he said when we came, there was no program. He said we didn't even have sisters or brothers reading. He said my job was to graduate at least 5 teachers and then get the sisters and the brothers. We had to do it out of necessity. Shara dictated this. And when we did this, he said, mashallah, right now the sisters are doing their own thing. They're running their own halaqat. I don't even supervise. But what we're going through at this moment is we're forced to kind of rely on each other to get through that initial phase. Because if we don't, qira'ah isn't going to last. But this is the model I'm getting and from one of our mashaykh in Palestine. Think of examples and inspire yourselves. Be very humble. MashaAllah, you got the examples of our famous qurra. Abu Abd al-Basri, Ibn Kathir, and Khalaf. They're all students of each other. The level of dedication they had. Nafi' came all the way from Egypt, mashallah. Warsh came all the way to learn from Nafi'. He came from Egypt to Medina. Asim's students had multiple ijazat. Shu'bah repeated the ijazah 3 times. Character. Some of these imams worked full-time jobs. Not just, they didn't just come on holidays. Qunbal, mashallah, has been said that he was the head of police. He was a big person. He was in charge of the head of police in Mecca. That was his full-time job. Hamza was an oil merchant. Abu Amr was an imam and a judge of the Umayyad mosque, and he was a military officer. Mashallah, he was in charge. He was an army officer in charge of people. Al-Kisai, mashallah, he was a famous grammarian. Al-A'mash was known for hadith. And my understanding is An-Nasa'i learned from, he was a student of Imam Al-Kisai and Abu Amr al-Basri. Hisham, mashallah, was a narrator for Imam Bukhari, Abi Dawood, Ibn Majah. Khalaf, mashallah, Muslim, Abu Dawood, Ahmad Muhammad, all of them narrated from them. They didn't just say Quran. What happened is that, I don't call it a bid'ah, but we compartmentalized Quran to saying Quran used to be cross-functional. They didn't just study Quran. We said, okay, let's teach them qira'ah. Okay, when they weren't that good, we said, okay, let's teach them, we said, let's teach them hifz. When they weren't that good, we said, let's teach them qira'ah. When that didn't work, we're trying to cut it now. We are doing the opposite to what these imams are doing. I'm not saying go and learn Sharia, but at least get people responsible to teach. They wanted the best for people. They were basically devout. Hisham's dad sold his house for $20 so he can learn from Imam Malik. Imam beat him 14 times. So subhanAllah. La ilaha illallah. When he found out the story, Imam Malik, he gave him 17 ahadith for each time he beat him. He said, okay, is that enough? He said, Wallah, I wish you can beat me more so you can get more hadith from me. That is how dedicated they were. If you're not dedicated and you don't want to study and you don't want to show up to a free class, then, what's the situation? Competitions. Have competitions to make people have something to work towards. At the end of the day, if they're turning up for 1 hour, that's all they're going to do. But fact of the matter is the kids are only reading for 5 minutes a day or a week. You need to get them to work outside of the halaqah. That is the main job of a murabbi. And this is done by teamwork, the barakah effect. We need each other. I'm going to finish off soon, inshallah. وَخْفِضْ جَنَاحَكَ لِمَنْ تَبَعَكَ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ. That's what we are trying to do, mashallah, as teachers, to help each other out. Comprehend this. Now, I'd like to ask a quick question before we wrap up. What is the barakah effect? I do thank you for your patience. I really apologize. Anybody would like to comment on it? Have you heard of this on YouTube? Yeah, well, I'm gonna probably pick on who? Either Asar or Yasir.
Is it related to that Allah's hand is on the Jama'ah? Is it related to that?
Well, yeah, definitely. But subhanAllah, now when you think about it, we're under-resourced. If you have the right intention and the right training, Allah, and the right dedication, Allah is going to put effort and barakah in your work. This is a real-life example, and I've seen this with my own eyes with what's happening in Gaza. So let me give you a demonstration. This is this maqra'ah that we are with, well, I was with, in Dar al-Quran and Sunnah in Palestine. When you look at it, it's running exactly the same as Otago Quran Club, with the odd halaqat happening in the masjid. This was a graduation ceremony of 1,470 students sat down, they men and women. They read the entire Quran from start to finish in one day. MashaAllah, you have some of the world's best people giving them feedback. You got Sheikh Muhammad Dadu, you got, MashaAllah, the big people, Sheikh Ahmad Ma'asawi, Sheikh Abdul Rashid Sufi. These are international reciters coming and praising these guys. And most of the work is online. Now, for those that aren't aware of what Gaza is going through, Gaza before the war was bound by geography. They cannot move outside of Gaza. So most of the work they do is online, exactly like OQSC. MashaAllah, as a result, because of their geography, 2 million people, one small city because of the war, they started online and they opened basically one of the biggest online recitation groups that I personally know of. The level of dedication they give to their free programs is the same as a paid professional class. Graduated 20,000, 21,000 Qur'an just from online classes. I was recently in an interview with management. We were about to launch a program in English with 4 of people's management. And subhanAllah, Allah had other plans. But that's how dedicated they are. And it's for free. They have a paid division, but subhanAllah, they got 24 volunteers around the clock doing work. Money, was it a problem? Not really. We're teaching across 120 countries in 14 languages. If the money was an excuse, wallahi, they're excused. If human resources, wallahi, they have an excuse. They were under occupation, right? So what I'm trying to say is keep track of success. With the right team and hard work, each student paid for their education. Every person that here, there's a big graduation ceremony, they're filling up stadiums. 5 teachers, every single person, his zakah was trained 5 students. They get 10,000 graduates graduating Quran per year. Statistically, there's 4 to 6 square kilometers. 4 huffaz that can read with ijaza, or at least ijaza level, 4 of which in each kilometer can read the Quran from one sitting. It's about the correct intention. The correct intention also is not enough. It's about high level of dedication and excellent execution required. Again, they called me up from Gaza. I never expected it. But subhanAllah, they literally, 15 minutes, I was already talking to them. Wallahi al-Azim sometimes takes me a week or 2 weeks to get a hold of somebody. They have an excuse. And that's what it looks like today. For those that don't know, I'm actually speaking from real experience. The reason why I said I used to be with them is the school got bombed recently. I personally have attended the graduation there. You can see our chef was already there. And subhanAllah, I personally know some of the guys there. And to this date, wallahi al-Azim, I suspect some of them already did. They never got back to me. Time. Teaching Quran is a ni'mah. How long you'll be around to teach it. If time isn't going to motivate you, I don't know what else will. What more motivation do you need? So what makes an excellent teacher? You need sacrifice. You need to be a role model. Challenges. Preparation. This privilege can be taken from you. You need passion. If you don't have any of these things and your students can't feel it, just like how, mashallah, our mashaykh made us feel it, I don't know who else will. So really think hard about this. Are you going just to be an excellent teacher, or are you going to be a big role model? I'm just going to finish off with this at the moment. So I'm just going to have any questions, and inshallah, we're going to have some action points. But, I do apologize for going over time, guys. Subhanallah, it's like we took breaks and other things, and it's been, extremely painful for you guys. I do apologize about that once more, but jazakumullah khair for your dedication. Just had to kind of see what feedback do you guys have, any questions, what purpose can we have right now to define ourselves moving forward with regards to being teachers? What goals can we have that will unite us together? So I'll just hand the floor, Brother Asar, and you can probably do it with the closing comments.
No, but Jazakallah khair. I think the teachers would be the ideal people to actually comment on it. But alhamdulillah, really, it has taken me to a different level of thinking, and starting from reflection on ourselves, that are we doing enough at an individual capacity as well, and as you said, our own personal Quranic habits and goals, are we achieving that or not? That needs to be done, and that's actually a reminder for myself. But again, as a responsibility towards where we are, our community. So we all need to look into our community, that Allah has chosen us or given us this responsibility to think about and care about our community. So we have to, reflect back on the seerah and see how the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and the Sahaba had actually dedicated their lives for this cause and purpose. And of course, what I've seen in the fast-paced life of Sydney when I met you over there, and over here in Auckland and other cities as well, not as much in Dunedin, but the dunya will definitely try to distract you as much as possible. But getting that sound anchorage and foundation with the help of Quran and the reminders with it, the tadabbur, the tazakkur, and all those things. I think this is very important that we uh, come back to our center point. Whenever there's a fire, they say you have to go to the exit point where we regroup. So I think we should have our regrouping point where we come back to our main purpose and see if we are achieving it and how we can further strengthen it. So probably, as I mentioned earlier privately with you, that having this kind of a short reminder every month of our what are our strategic goals for the year, and what are our specific objectives for each month, for instance, and how much have we achieved, what are the challenges, how can we help achieve it. So getting in touch base with all the admins and the teachers would really help us, make sure we are taking everyone along with us and achieving our goals, inshallah. And that's where I think what you mentioned about the barakah will start to, we can see, inshallah, alhamdulillah, we have already seen it. That with little effort, with, of course, you guys have done the most effort, I've done the very little effort, but the right intention and niyyah, and if Allah chooses us for this thing, inshallah, the barakah and you can see the whole spring sprouting from this. So jazakallah khair for all this effort that you've done today. It really means a lot, and I'm really glad that we have actually recorded it so that people can go back to it and even share it to those people who are in the same mission and having the same challenges. And may Allah, inshallah, from this they will also learn a lot. Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much.
No, Jazakallah khair, appreciate it. I mean, I do apologize for going over time with regards to this. Obviously, it didn't take into account, mashallah, there's going to be, forget about breaks, mashallah, the lively examples and the stories of learning that we can get from each other, And yes, this is a complex problem, but mashallah, I'm glad that you guys, you're the best that we found on offer. And we're more happy than, we're here to kind of serve you guys at the end of the day. So if there is anything you'd like to add, I'm more than happy to take any feedback. But without further ado, I know we're kind of going over time. Inshallah, we'll probably leave it there and I'll just stop the recording, inshallah. But jazakumullah khair. On behalf of myself and everybody else, it's definitely an honor and a privilege to serve you guys. سبحان الله سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. جزاكم الله خير.